Welcome to the video version of Visibility at Your Library. Here's one more example of how libraries are changing in dynamic places.
I'm going to talk a little bit about myths. One of my favorite things is to talk about myths and how they impact our perceptions and the way in which we deal with reality. Because I'm a good librarian, I checked the dictionary, of course, and discovered that a myth was a traditional, typically ancient story dealing with supernatural beings, ancestors, or heroes that serves as a fundamental type in the worldview of a people. That's not really what I'm going to be talking about. There will be no supernatural beings involved in this talk, but it's also a fiction or a half-truth. And as you know, we just love to create myths. The media is very fond of creating a myth, and they can spend a year doing that because then they can spend the next year debunking the myth. And this way people will buy newspapers both on the upslope and the downslope. I think also very often the public is subject to myths as are librarians. Now the thing about myths is that they can either be good or sometimes they can be bad. In that sometimes they lead you to believe, as we said in the definition, a fiction or a half-truth. So I'm going to talk about a couple of myths, and the first one is the myth that libraries are only about books. We know that when people think about libraries, they either think about somebody shushing them. There may be an occasional bun involved, occasionally a pair of glasses on a decorative neck piece. The fact of the matter is that the general public perception generally involves columns and large bronze doors. You know the stereotype. The reality is that today's libraries are very, very much different than that. Now, first of all, let me say, in the interest of justice, that libraries are still very, very much about books. Thank you. Books are doing very, very well. Book circulation in libraries continues to increase, demonstrated that, in fact, it still loves books. And that includes books even when they happen to be in the form of a Kindle or an iPad. Because the fact of the matter is, you can fool yourself, but the fact is a book is a book is a book. The first is that libraries inform citizens. Libraries are quite simply the embodiment of democracy. They are the place that take us beyond the soundbite. If you go to other nations, and I have traveled to other countries, I think you know the respect with which America's libraries are treated. They know that because the library provides information to all, that libraries are essential to creating an informed and vibrant democracy. Public libraries, the People's University. There's very little more that needs to be said. Barack Obama, for instance, credited the New York Public Library with helping him find his first job as a community organizer here in Chicago. I think that's just one example of the many, many millions. Libraries value the individual. In a society where where mass media dominates, the library is a place where you can find out who you are by pursuing your own interests and your own passions. You can see different points of views. You can pursue your own love and your own passions because libraries, above all, respect not only the works created by individuals, but you as an individual by allowing you to learn freely. Libraries nourish creativity. Libraries are the breeding ground of authors, innovators, and inventors. Sometimes you just can't even get to the library because they're through the library because it's just thronged with inventors. You're bumping into them left and right. The reality is, if you look at creative people, you're going to see people that use libraries, and you're going to see that libraries, in fact, are supporters of much of the innovation that occurs. I believe even Mr. Bill Gates started out as a library shelver somewhere and credits libraries with all his success. Libraries open kids' minds. They're synonymous with being a good parent. There is nothing that you can do for your child that is going to be more beneficial to them than taking them to the library and letting them walk out with a huge stack of books. Children who use libraries before they enter formal education do better when they enter formal education. They do better during the course of further education. And kids who use libraries after school do better in school. The difference is in fact about a letter grade based on studies that have tracked that.